It's time for the Pestrogen Podcast with your hosts, Jenny and Kandyce.
Welcome back, pesty besties everywhere. Thanks for joining us again for another rousing episode of Pestrogen Podcast. I am Kandyce, alongside with me, as always, the beautiful Jenny. How has your week been, baby girl?
It's been good. It's been busy. The season is kicking off strong and getting a lot of aunt calls and just working my little hiney off, getting ready for Easter. And yeah, that's about it. How you been?
Not too bad. Was kind of a crazy week. It felt like I kept having to go out of town, and I'm like, can I just do this all at once? But I couldn't. But it was really good. I was really sad yesterday that I didn't get to play with one of my favorite dogs. She was locked away because, well, Dad was home and he was weeding, and she kept getting in his face, so he put her in the kennel. But I still got to say hi to her at least, but I didn't get to play with her this time. I was kind of upset. But it is what it is. But other than that, it's just been a typical week. Next week starts a little bit heavier, but it's getting better.
Yeah. It's is it getting warm there?
Finally. It's actually, I think it was about 70 degrees today or so, but with like 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, it feels like it's like 50. So it sucks. Yeah. But at least it's sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least it's not raining on me. And I'm going, well, I can't do this now. Have some Niban again for the 100th time.
Right.
Oh, I'm like the queen of Niban around here, man. I swear to God. Because I can use it in the rain. It takes care of what it needs to take care of. I just usually have the spider issue after a while. But it is what it is. I can't do much else when it's pissing rain 360 days of the year.
Yeah. I'm laughing because in our Pest Control Humor Depot chat, she's now Niban Jugs and I'm Termititties. So
yeah. I told you, we go through, I don't know, probably close to like 400 pounds of Niban a season.
Ooh.
Just between me and Brayden. Like, not even joking. We use a lot of it. Because when it's raining, everything out, all the other granules, you can't put it down in the rain. Well, Niban you can. So here you go. Have it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, I'm sure it
helps. It does. It does help.
for you and you.
Yeah. You get the Niban and you get the
Niban. Great.
But for everybody that's listening and cannot see her beautiful face, the other voice you're hearing is our lovely, beautiful guest today, Amber Allen Consolino.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I still go by it.
Okay.
Yes.
How are you doing today? How's your week been?
I'm good. My week was a little rough at first. Friday was a breeze. I love Friday, and now it's the weekend, so I can't really complain. I just wish the weekends were longer sometimes.
Nice. It would be helpful. You need like the rest day, the weekend chore day, and another rest day, and then go back to work.
Yes.
Any plans for Easter, Amber?
We are going to bounce back and forth between my mother-in-law's house and my mom's house. It's gonna be like a world tour, so hopefully it goes okay.
That's awesome. Your kiddos still into like the Easter egg hunts and all that stuff?
Yeah, they're all young enough to still Easter baskets and all of the fun stuff.
How old is your youngest?
He is 1, and then I have my 4-year-old and my 8-year-old. Fun fact, my 2 oldest, their birthdays are like 20 days apart, so that's an expensive month for me.
Oh, yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get the fun of that. I have Brandon's birthday, December 2nd, Christmas, and then 8 days later on January 2nd is Jude's birthday. And then a few months later is Kyra's birthday. It's like, fuck.
Oh my god. That's a rough time of the year, too.
Yeah. Well, my best friend, her husband, and their 3 kids all have birthdays June, July, and August. All 5 of them are all right there. I'm like, damn.
God, at least there's that like month recovery time. And right as you're bouncing back, it smacks you again.
Right?
Exactly. Can never catch up.
It can't, I swear. So in today's episode, we're talking about the worst day ever, whether it's out in the field or just in general life. We're also going to have a conversation about histoplasmosis and the awareness for it, because especially as pest techs, we really need to be aware of this. It can happen to anybody, but we're a little bit more prone to it for what we do. So we decided this was a great episode to have Amber on, because unfortunately, she does have histoplasmosis, but she didn't even pick it up in the field. So can you tell us a little bit about it, Amber? Like, where'd you get it? What happened? How'd you figure it out?
Yeah. So I actually got my histoplasmosis down south in Nashville, Tennessee. I lived down there for a few years. God, it had to have been like 3 years ago. I got sick it was like around the end of December. Um, Thought I had COVID at first. Never really got better. Didn't really know who to turn to because like I didn't feel good, but like my heart was having problems that I'd never had before. I was having heart arrhythmias. So I went to a cardiologist because I was like, well, maybe that's what's making me not feel good is the heart arrhythmias. So they ended up putting me on like a heart monitor for a month just to kind of see what was going on with it. In the middle of my heart monitor, I had a really tragic event happen and it set me into a heart episode for like 8 hours. And after 8 hours, it's like, okay, I probably need to go to the ER because my heart was beating like 150 beats plus per minute for 8 hours. By the time I got to the ER, I was not doing good. I couldn't remember where I lived. I couldn't remember my name. I guess I looked really pale. They were like, "You just don't look right." They gave me that and triage, ask a couple of questions. They took my blood pressure. They were like, "Nope, we're taking you straight to the ER." There were a bunch of people waiting, but it was like emergent, so I skipped in front of all of those people. They took me back in the ER room. I had like a bunch of nurses and a doctor or two around me, from what I can remember. They ended up shooting me with what was it? Ativan, I think is what it's called, to try and like calm my body down.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to like kind of come to it and was able to be more coherent with the doctors. They end up asking me, like, why are you here? I'm assuming it's because of your heart. And I was like, yeah, I'm on a heart monitor. This is what's going on. And so that doctor was like, why don't we give you a CT scan so we can see your heart and see like what's going on with your heart. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. So they gave me the CT scan and he came back in my room and he was like, your heart looks fine, but they said we found this growth in your lung and it's I think at the time it was like 8 by 8 millimeters. So then, like I asked him, I was like, is it cancer? Do I have cancer? And he was like, well, I don't know if you have cancer. I can't tell you just based on looking on the scan if you have cancer. The protocol here is you're going to have to see a pulmonologist in 3 months to get another CT scan or a general care physician to see if it grows. So then, by the time it was time for my new, oh, my heart scan came back. I did have like a few arrhythmias. They were benign. And, the freeze happened. I'm living back up in Michigan at this point with my mother. I'm so sick still. I had lost 30 pounds. I had night sweats. I'm coughing. Feels like a knife's going through my chest. A lot of fatigue. I was sleeping like 10 hours a day. I was just not doing hot. So we were all kind of convinced that it was going to come back as cancer too, because that's kind of a lot of the same symptoms lung cancer causes as well. So I go and get my repeat CAT scan 3 months later. They ended up initiating a yellow and blue protocol when they read that CAT scan, which is a cancer protocol and an emergency. Like she needed to see a pulmonologist like yesterday. They saw that my original 8 by 8 millimeter nodule had grown to 10 by 15 millimeters. That's about a centimeter and a half. And both of my lungs, my left and my right, were now filled with lung nodules. They said it looked like I had tuberculosis at that point. So I went and saw a pulmonologist. I think the next day they actually got me into a pulmonologist, which if you know anything about specialists, that's not a thing that usually happens. It's usually like a month or two wait. So I'm talking to him. I'm talking about like my symptoms that's been going on and how, I feel sick and I just need some relief and I feel like I'm dying. And he actually, which I was really surprised with because I guess it's still most of them are very common in Michigan. He said, I think this is what you have based on um where you came from, which was Nashville. So at that point, they gave me like a urine test and a few blood tests because that's how they can test for it. If they don't want to go invasive, they can do lung biopsies. They didn't want to go there yet. And sure enough, it came back, and he's like, "Oh, this will be super easy. Like, you just get on some antifungal, and you'll be on it for like a year. But I mean, that's all you gotta do is take it for a year, and it'll be fine, and it'll be gone." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I get on this antifungal medication and I'm on it for a month. I still don't feel better. I naturally had a 1 month follow up with him. He retakes my blood test. My medication was not working. My histoplasmosis levels at that point had doubled, even though I was on medication. So at that point, it became an emergency visit with an infectious disease doctor who specializes in infectious disease, which is what histoplasmosis is. And he ended up taking care of me and it was all good and happy ending, or so I thought, because then at the beginning of this year, I got the flu and some other mysterious viral illness we think was maybe either the other flu strand or norovirus, which is like tummy. And I just wasn't feeling better. And I'm like, oh, this feels oddly familiar. This is a blast from the past. So I call my pulmonologist and I'm like, hey, I'm getting sick this again. I rather like not have this happen before it as sick as I did the first time. And he's like, yeah. And so they had me also come in like the very next day after I had called. They automatically put me on the medication. They didn't even run the blood test. They didn't run the blood test, put me on the medication before I had come back because they were like, you know how it feels. Um, Come back that it had returned, but it was still very early. So he's like, this is fine. It should get out of control again. He said, we're just going to automatically send off to infectious disease again because I handled it the first time. So that's what you need to go see. So I go see my infectious disease doctor. His name is Dr. Baker out of Western Michigan University. Shout out to him. He is a great doctor. So, here I am. At this point, it's like 3 years later. I was like, Dr. Baker, we're in the same situation again. What are we gonna do about this so that this doesn't keep coming back? And he was like, we're gonna put you on the medication. He said you're gonna follow up with some autoimmune doctors for some like autoimmune disease concerns because he thinks that I have an autoimmune disease since my body isn't taking care of this. He wanted me to start with like a GI doctor to check for like the autoimmune diseases that can happen in the belly. So that was all fine and dandy. Um, GI doctor didn't want to see me until June though. They didn't really, I guess, have room for me, and my symptoms weren't concerning enough. They kind of pushed it off. Um, Last Wednesday, I had some pretty like concerning symptoms pop up while I was at work, so I ended up calling my manager and was like, "Hey, I need to have some help with this route, or I need you to take the route off of me because I need to go to the ER." They ultimately was like, "If you need to go to the ER, go to the ER. Like, what do you mean finish route? That's not a thing if you need to go to the ER." So they just took it off of me. Went to the ER. That doctor gave me another CT scan. on my belly because that's where I was having issues. And that came back that it looks like I have an infectious disease in my belly. And they were like, oh, it's probably, like that autoimmune stuff that we were concerned about. We'll just send this off to your infectious disease and your GI. The very next day on Thursday, last Thursday, my infectious disease doctor called me back like as soon as his clinic opened. And he's like, that CT scan is not good. He said, it looks like your histoplasmosis has now gone into your gut. And he was like, if your numbers look just like a little bit different than they do right now, you would be going to the hospital right now. This wouldn't be like I'm calling you to tell you I'm concerned about. This would be like, you are going to the hospital because we need to start like IV antifungal. He said, but since my numbers aren't like super off the chart, he just wants me to do repeat testing for the histo, and I have to go get like some tummy stuff done, some biopsies. Depending how that comes back, though, they said it's going to be a 2-week hospitalization for IV antifungal medication for now disseminated histoplasmosis, which is when it spreads out of your lungs into other organs. So it is pretty serious. I highly encourage if you are in an attic or anywhere like chicken coops, or sometimes people get flies in their chicken coops, you need to wear an N95 mask because you get it from bird feces like pigeons and bats. Super important during attic restorations. I know almost nobody ever does, but you need to keep in mind how sick you can get from that bat feces, especially if it's been sitting, because that's when it becomes a increased risk, is when the feces has been allowed to age.
Ooh.
Damn.
Wow.
Just,
I know.
I can't think of anything else but just damn. Talk about a worst day ever. Jesus,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. And that Thursday
Wow.
when he called me, I'm on route at just like, don't get me wrong, I love this stop, but it is my most difficult stop I do. And it just that on top of dealing with the stop, I'm sitting there thinking about that all day while I'm trying to, turn this ticket over that takes me 4 to 5 hours depending on the day. And I don't know, it just weighed really heavy on my mind that day.
I can't even imagine. Good God. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
super lucky though. My company has been just fucking amazing about
That's awesome.
dealing with this with me and, reassured. Because I ended up having to file for FMLA because, they talked about 2-week hospitalization. I need job protection. So I
Yeah.
ended up calling my manager and I was like, I filed for this, but like, don't freak out. I'm not like taking continuous leave or anything. It's just like, this is what's going on. And they're like, you're sick. You need to worry about getting better because you can't do anything if you're dead. And, they've just been like really awesome because I know some companies would not be as awesome.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, you're really sick and you can't do your work? Bye. Peace.
right.
Yeah.
No, that's super cool
Yeah.
that your company's working with you, and they're like when you said when you had to call and be like, hey, I need to go to the ER, they weren't just like, oh, well, finish your job first and then go to the ER. They're like, go away. What the fuck are you still doing here?
Yeah, and like, even
Yeah.
like my dumb ass, it's like I know I need to go to the ER. I'm sitting here implying like I'll finish this route. I want to get to the ER sooner rather than later. Can someone help me? And they were like, no, screw that route. Go to the ER.
Exactly. That's cool. That you don't hear about companies like that very often. So it's nice to hear that they do still exist in this crazy
Yes.
ass world that we live in.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a sign of a good leader when they're able to decipher when it's like, yeah, my numbers matter and the route matters, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, this person really should probably go get medical help. So that's a sign of good leadership.
Yes.
Love it.
Awesome. That is yeah. I'm more dumbfounded that they're just so cool about it. Because even just not even in pest control, in any type of a job, you get sick either before or during. They're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, your job's not safe. Go away. Goodbye. We can replace you real easily. That's cool that they're working with you.
We actually did get one person to add in on the histoplasmosis. I'm actually surprised how little people in our industry have had it or know somebody who has had it. I knew nothing about it until I met Amber. So,
Same.
and I've kind of dived into learning more about it, and I'm like, whoa. But Heather Tutton said I have not had histoplasmosis, but I had an aunt die of it because she had a pet bird that was making her sick, and she refused to get rid of it or change her habits for caring for it. She was sick for years before the doctors figured it out. So I'm glad the medical science has come a long way on that, and that's kind of a way of saying, like, hey, people with pets, make sure you're caring for them, because like Amber said, the longer the fecal matters bruise fungal stuff, the worse it can be. So thank you for sharing that, Heather, because that's like, it's a good way to say, hey, red flag, people. This can be serious. Yeah,
I know, and of course I just got 2 new birds.
No, right?
But I keep their cage clean, I promise. I take the bottom drawer out and I wear gloves when I do it. No, I don't wear a mask, and I probably really should. But I clean it regularly. It's not sitting and brewing and stirring. And yeah, it's like the hot water goes into it. I'm like nowhere near it when I'm doing that. I'm like,
yes.
And we,
that's like
wash
the key
hands
to
before.
histoplasmosis, is like letting the fecal matter brew, because the fungus doesn't get pooped out of their system and it's just automatically there. The feces has to sit and grow, and it has to be underneath the right conditions. So not every piece of fecal matter is going to have histoplasmosis, but you don't know by looking at it if it does or if it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like it's growing a little sprout through it or something. Like a little mushroom just hanging out. Well, that's what people always think of when you say a fungal disease. It's mushrooms, mushrooms or fungus. So no, people, there will not be a piece of mushroom sticking out of a piece of poop and, oh, it's histoplasmosis. Doesn't work that way.
Unfortunately, because then you might have a heads up.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna get away from that one.
Mm-hmm. I encounter a lot of goose poop around rodent bait stations, so I just Googled, can goose poop give you histoplasmosis?
I mean, it's a bird, so.
Yeah. So definitely wearing an N95 for that job.
Yeah. I would rather look goofy and be a little sweaty, especially now that the summer's coming, than have to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, but and fungal stuff, it's just like viruses where it's you can't see it. It's spores. And yeah.
You breathe it in before you even realize it.
Mm-hmm. And that's like Amber said, you don't really know exactly how you got it, do you?
No, so when I first got diagnosed with it, the CDC actually called me, because it is a CDC disease. So the CDC will call you and ask you about it, because they try to prevent an epidemic, because it can be very deadly.
Mm-hmm.
We think I might have got it from, now I'm not slandering them, but we think I might have got it from the Nashville Zoo when I went in the bird aviary. Or I had some demolition going across the street from my apartment building, and that's another thing that can cause it, is demolition. If there's an attic and you're demoliting the house and it's getting knocked down, and you tear that attic down, you just knocked all those spores up in the air.
Yeah. And then the wind blows right into your house and boom.
Mm-hmm. And
Damn.
they're thinking that might have been
wild.
what it was, based off of how sick I got. They said they think I got a pretty hefty dose of it, which the dose also makes the illness. In this case, if you breathe in a really heavy dose, it becomes a lot more of an urgent matter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Right. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that with us, because that's deep, and we all love you, and we want to be by your side as you're going through it.
Yes.
I appreciate
You're a
it.
little cutie pie.
Yeah. Wait, all
I
three of us were
actually
on the
had.
same Tales from the Crawl Space, weren't we?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
We were
I
on
was gonna
the
say,
Tales from
I
the Call Space,
actually.
crazily named Pestrogen.
Full circle.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Full circle.
I was gonna say, I don't, okay, so it's unclear if this was somebody from my specific company, but I was talking to a coworker who's a salesman, and he said that he had a coworker actually die of histoplasmosis. He got it on this job they were both at. I don't know if it was they were both at my company or not. I didn't dive into it, but I guess this guy went into an abandoned building and it was infested with either bats or pigeons. I can't remember what he said, but he said that the guy went into the building and it's like knee high bird bat crap, and he's wading through it without a
Ooh.
mask, remind you.
Ooh.
And I guess the guy got like histoplasmosis so bad that he like went into cardiac arrest or like had a stroke or seizure or something, and he ended up dying from it back in the 90s. It's happened in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Damn.
So
Okay. Yeah.
Damn.
Right.
I don't know if I could wade through knee deep poop of any kind, whether it was going
yeah,
to
me
hurt me
either.
later or not. Just I'd be like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
People built different because I
Some of
can't.
Right. Right. And some of my accounts are very moist around the building. Like it doesn't have very good drainage. And then I'm servicing like 60 rodent bait stations. And when I get to it, like there's been birds pooping on the lid. And then when I open it, I'm in the Midwest. So there's wind and like I clean them out, but the mouse poop or rat poop sometimes will be, like waft when I open it. And I've been thinking about the last couple days, and I'm like, holy crap! I really should be wearing at least an N95 when I'm doing this, like because I'm worried that the conditions with it being so moist around too. And it's starting to get a little warm, it could be cooking something up. And I'm like, oh man, I need PPE is so important, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, I don't need gloves or I don't need a mask or whatever," and it's like at your own cost. I don't know.
Yeah, like gloves are a damn necessity in no matter any part of this job, whether it's the chems or the rodents or whatever. You've got, because I mean, like we touch everything, and you don't even think about it. Like I watched this video years ago of I think she was a nurse, but she put like ultraviolet like paint on her glove or on her hands, and like you couldn't see it on her hands, but then she's like playing with her phone and she scratches her face and she does this and that and then shines a black light and it's like all over her phone. And it's like you don't think about it because you're like, oh, my hands aren't dirty, but it's like that one little thing. And then you rubbed your hands together because oh, my hands are sore, and then you spread it everywhere, and then on your neck, on your face, you stuck your finger in your mouth because you had some food in your teeth. It's like, ugh. It's like, I'm not a germaphobe, but that made me go like, yeah, it was pretty bad. But it's like I always tell people, like, as soon as my gloves go on my hands are dirty. That's it. I don't touch my face. I don't touch anything more than I have to. Unfortunately, I have to touch my phone, but like I end up cleaning my phone at the end of the day. But it's like I try not to touch anything else. Like I don't get back into my car. I don't grab at my steering wheel, nothing like that. I don't touch my car keys because it's like, you don't know what the hell is on there. You've forgotten what you've touched. You don't know if there's a random fungal spore or bacteria or a virus hanging out somewhere. And then you go and touch that steering wheel. You take your gloves off. It's on your steering wheel. You go and drive. So now it's on your hands, and then you do. And yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the gloves are on, the hands are dirty. I don't touch anything extra. At least I try not to. I'm sure I have, but I try not to.
I bet my keys are probably pretty gross. I need to be a little bit
Oh
better.
yeah, I think about that a lot too.
Yeah.
I lucked out and I have the, like, no need to touch my key fob. Like, I can open my door just grabbing the handle, push button start. So I don't have to, like, my keys hardly ever get touched. They get put on and stuck in my pocket. Like, I clip them to my belt loop and stick them in my pocket, and then I don't ever touch them until I get home when I have to unlock my house. But during the day, like, they don't get touched, except when I stick my hands in said pocket. So they do technically get touched.
Yeah. I have all my bait keys and stuff on my car keys.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure my bait keys are
Oh,
disgusting.
yeah. Mine are definitely disgusting.
Do
Just
you
like
have your
dip them
bait
in some
keys
bleach.
separate from your car keys, Amber?
Yeah, so I have, if you look at my pictures, my posters, like a little silver chain that hangs on the side of my pants. Those are my bait keys that I use, but I keep a spare on my card keys so that if one breaks, I have a backup just to grab it real quick.
Smart. Okay.
Yeah, I have that 4-way key that has like the 4 different keys on it.
Mm-hmm.
That thing has been awesome. And then I do have like a set of actual separate keys, and they hang off of my rodent sling bag. Both of them
Mhm.
do. And then like my other bag I have to carry for my indoor stuff for like my head start has its own key because I'm trying to keep all of that separate. So I have keys everywhere. I have like 4 or 5 just random keys in my center console of my car. Like, yeah, there you go, new one.
It's such a quality of
Yeah,
life,
helps.
though, to do that.
Yes.
It is. That's my husband bought me the disinfectant black light or whatever. It's not black light, but the
Oh yeah, like the UV light thing for your, like, I know they're marketed for like cell phones and stuff. Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Cool.
Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
where it went, but now I think I really need to get that out and try to use it.
Stick your stations and keys in there every time. You're like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my phone is probably pretty gross too.
Oh, I know
because-
mine is.
Yeah, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've started from the beginning on Beauties and Beasties, trying to listen forward, and since they're in the UK, when they go live, it's 2 p.m. where I am. So depending on the account that I'm at, I don't have service. So I missed Sean Muller, our podcast brother, on Beauties and Beasties. Our Beastie Boys is what I call them in my head. I missed it. I came in like right at the end, and I commented, I finally made it, start over. And they're like an hour and a half in. But
Yeah, we'll start over just for you, babe.
exactly. But, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to them, of course, and then I've been listening back through the TFTCs, of course, which we're going to have them as guests soon. So excited.
That's gonna be so much
Oh,
fun.
that'll be
Yeah, it will.
awesome.
I know, right? It's like a Family Guy meets The Simpsons crossover.
Yeah.
Crossover.
Well, it's like I use my phone because I have one phone. I don't have a personal phone and a business phone. I wasn't trying to deal with carrying around multiple phones. So I use my phone to like scan my stations, yada yada. And it's like anytime I have a capture, I try to like designate a hand that's going to actually touch said rodent. So I don't like, I'm not like scanning with this hand and then grabbing it with this hand and then grabbing the phone again. And I'm like, oh, don't do that. So a lot of the times I've resorted to using doggy poop bags to like drop my dead rodents in. It works quite
That's
nicely. Or even like
smart.
fed on bait and stuff like
That is
and they're
smart.
super fucking cheap. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
I
can't you
Brandon-
get like
Brandon gave
1,000
me
for
that
like
idea.
$10?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I mean they're not going to like, if you have a huge warehouse that you constantly have like 50 or so captures at, it's not going to do much. But 2 or 3, I mean I've even had like honking ones in there when you can kind of fold them up a little bit, shove them in there. Because like what Brandon does most of the time is he'll stick it in his hand and he calls it gloving it, where he'll just pull his glove out over it.
Yeah.
That's
I
smart
hate
too.
doing that because if my hands get even like a hint of moisture on them from being in the glove, I cannot put another glove on, and I'm not standing around for 10 minutes doing this trying to dry my hand. So I've started using the dog bag. So I'll like hold the trap up because we use the Jaws traps. I'll hold the trap up and hold the bag underneath it and open up the trap and just drop the rodent in it so then I don't even have to touch it at all.
Yes.
Unless they're stuck to it, then that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it is helpful because I even, like I said, I even throw like Fed on contract and shit in there. I'm just like, boop.
Yes. That's awesome. I
I thought Dick
save
will pick me up
like
some.
gas station bags. Yeah, same.
I buy mine from like Ross Dress for Less. They always have like, I think the last one that I bought was like probably about 1,000 bags. And I mean, they're not huge rolls, obviously, but you just throw a bunch. Like I keep them in my rodent bag, and yeah, you just. I think I got like 1,000 bags for like $8.99 or $7.99, something like that. It's nothing crazy. And I actually had a really nice client that her dog died a few months ago or something. And I was like, oh, and I was doing something. I was like, oh no, this is my last bag. And she just like, like gave me like 10 rolls. I was like, I didn't mean for you to give me these. She's like, oh no, I'm not going to need them anymore. Here you go. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
That's awesome.
I know. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh. Okay. So, about our worst day ever. Amber, do you have a worst day ever story?
Oh, doesn't
Mine is
everybody?
picking up
I mean, it is
histoplasmosis and
pest
figuring that
control.
out.
Oh, yeah.
My company does something called being on call. So people don't get absolutely shit on all the time. You'll have 1 week where you get absolutely shit on, right? So then you get like a few month break before it rolls around again.
Yeah.
On-call is reserved for like important, like like hospitals and things that need to be treated, but they probably shouldn't let it sit overnight. Yeah. Um. So I went to my commission housing. Like I said, it's Thursdays, and I love them, but it's a rough day when I go to commission housing. It's a lot of units. So I finished that up, and I think I had like a ticket or two after that, and I did those two tickets, and then I get a call from a call center. They want me to drive like, God, I think it was like an hour and 45 minutes from where I was at to go to a hospital for bed bugs. And so then, I was so behind that day. Actually gave that off to another tech that was closer. He was like 30 minutes closer than me, and he was already heading towards that area, and he was ahead, so he's like, just give it to me. Um, but then I got a call that they wanted me to go 2 hours from where I was at down south. So I'm glad I didn't go to the one that I passed off to their tech, because that would have just been a shit show. So I'm driving 2 hours down south. I finished it. It was for cockroaches. As I'm trying to drive back home, I'm like, God, I think I was 3 hours away from home at this point, because I was already an hour away from home when they called me. I get another call. They want me to go like smack dab middle of like Michigan, and like this Battle Creek is what it's called. And I'm all the way like down south Indiana. That was, yeah, I think 2 hours and 45 minutes from me or something like that. So I drive up there and I finish that job, and at this point I think it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I still have like an hour
Oh my
and
God.
15-minute drive home. Yeah. I ended up calling my manager. I didn't care what time it was. I was to that point. I called him and I said, yo, you guys are not going to call me anymore tonight for anything. I don't care if something's on fire. I don't care if there's a rat on an FDA regulated food processing plant facility. I don't care. Don't call me. I'm not getting up. It's done. Too much.
Yeah.
He was like, okay,
Yeah,
we won't call you. I'm glad I told him that, because I think there actually was another call that came in like in the middle of the night, and he ended up going to do it.
Good.
Well, that was nice of him at
Oh.
least. Jeez.
Yeah. And then I tried with all my might to get up. I think I got up at like 5:30 in the morning. I didn't get home till like 2.
Ooh.
And I'm sitting there trying to get ready. We have like morning meetings every morning. So I'm in the morning meeting. I'm sitting at my computer. I have 15 minutes, so I gotta be my first stop. I'm not even like dressed yet, honestly. I haven't even like chugged out my first cup of coffee. I'm sitting there in the middle of this meeting, and I ended up like, "Hey guys, can we take a pause?" I was like, "Ken, he's my service manager." I was like, "I didn't get enough sleep last night. I can't do this right now. I don't feel safe driving. I need a late start." And he's like, "Oh yeah, no problem. You should have said something earlier." I was like, "Yeah, but I was trying
Oh,
to be like a team player."
Gotta be that
yeah.
warrior.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I
that's
know that feeling, that super exhausted where you're just like, oh god. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely no driving during that. Absolutely not.
yeah. That's been me lately. I've been waking up and then going and I sit on the couch and then I fall asleep sitting up and then I wake up and I'm like, shit, I'm late. Like I just my body has said enough is enough, bitch. You're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like,
Take a nap.
yeah. So thankfully my management hasn't said anything about it because I think they just know like Jen needs to catch up on sleep before real peak season hits. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
so
Because this is just the beginning, and we're already drowning in not having enough sleep. Like
Mhm.
mine hasn't even been working late for some reason. Like this whole last week, I have an alarm set for 6 a.m. I get up, I drink some coffee. I usually end up waking up Brandon eventually. I go and wake up my son, which I keep telling him, "You're 15, fucking wake up yourself." But here we are. Got to get him to school. He's a turd. I got to get him to school by 8, and then, usually come home, make Brandon breakfast because he has to eat with his whole crap going on. We're usually like, I will usually head out first, let him finish eating and get dressed, whatever. I'll usually head out first about 9. But anyways, this whole past week I've been waking up at like 4:30, and I just wake up. No freaking reason. I'm just awake. Like I wake up and I'm like, what the hell? Why am I awake? And I'll lay there trying to go back to sleep, and it just never works. I'm like, whatever.
doing it. Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like yesterday after work and after I cooked dinner, I was standing in the kitchen, just kind of like head nodding, like my eyes were open, but I'm just like, and Brandon's like, "You need to go to bed." And I'm like, "Huh? What?"
That's
So yeah,
rough.
I like passed out with all the food still on the counter. The birds were uncovered, but luckily Kyra did it all for me. She's like, "I put all the food away." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yes. There we go.
All right, so we did ask around for more worst day ever, whether it's in the field, at home, different work line of work, whatever. And we actually got quite a few. I did get an anonymous one that, well, we won't read that one first.
Hmm.
Do you want to read the first one or do you want me to?
You go ahead, my dear.
All right, I will read the one from Mr. Brad Harvey, Cheese Dad Extraordinaire. Okay, so he says, often when we think about the worst day ever at our jobs, we think about things that happen on that day that pertain to the job itself, be it difficult customer, a seemingly, God, endless day, or corporate ash chewing, etc. My worst day on the job? I remember nothing about it, other than the thing that made it the worst day ever. I almost lost my brother. I had been working at the Big Green Tea for over a year. My brother Daryl was working for Klosterman Bakery as a delivery driver at the time. Every so often, we would run into each other in the field, talk for a bit, then go about our duties. This was one of those days. We had met up in New Palestine and chatted for a few minutes about things I can't recall now. Then, as always, we went about our days. A couple of hours after we saw each other, Daryl's delivery van basically disintegrated on Interstate 70. He was ejected from it and ended up on the pavement before the van caught fire. Mind you, this was before cell phones were in everyone's hands, so the news didn't reach me until I got home. I didn't know if he was alive or dead. Daryl's recovery was long and painful, involving numerous surgeries, a facial reconstruction procedure. Why he chose the Rodney Dangerfield remains a mystery to me. He had to relearn how to walk and was on a blender diet for a long time. Only through the grace of a loving God and the support of family and friends was Daryl and his family able to make it through. As kids, Daryl and I were always at war with each other. As we became adults, we also became friends. After the accident, I feel that we've become even closer. This day changed us both, and the thought of what could have been that day still haunts me. And Brad also wanted me to add that if anyone wants any more details about Daryl's journey and recovery, to feel free to message Daryl.
Oh,
That's
so sweet.
That's crazy. And I've met Daryl. He's a good guy.
He is. I still love him, even though he doesn't listen to TFTC.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, would you want to sit around and listen to your brother bitch all the time?
Yeah, fair. Oh, that's crazy though.
Right?
I can't believe we almost lost our Daryl.
It's my Uber driver.
Oh yeah.
How long ago was it that this happened? Do you guys know?
He doesn't say, but he said it was before cell phones were in everybody's hands, so it had to be at least pre-2000s, even
80s, 90s, yeah.
Yeah, probably in the 80s or 90s.
That's crazy. Yeah, me, Kandyce, Brandon, and Jack were Jack was gone.
No, Jack was already there.
Yeah. We're in Cheese Stock. We were at the hotel for Cheese Stock, and we were told our Uber was there, and we walked up to the car like, all right, here comes some stranger, and it's fucking Daryl, and it took us a minute to be like, wait, we know this person.
Yeah, it was like, are you the Uber driver? And he was like, no. And I'm like, oh. And then he's like just staring at me and then raises his glasses. He's like, it's Daryl. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Thanks for telling us, Brad.
Yeah, all Brad told me was that my chariot was on the way. So, and we'd always been told they were going to send an Uber for us. So there it was.
Yeah, what a way to meet him. Not
right?
Who the hell he was.
So yes, now I just always refer to him as my Uber driver because,
yes.
Well, that's how I met him, thinking he was my Uber driver. Like,
exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Speaking of Jack Starry, he also gave us an entry. He said, during COVID in 2020, I was working up in Pennsylvania. It was hot as hell that day, and surprisingly, I was running behind on my route, even though most of the services were exterior only because of the pandemic panic. The truck was giving me problems, so I was basically limping from stop to stop. I got to my last stop of the day. Really nice lady with ants all over the place. They had an addition to the back of their house that was poorly built, and ants were getting into the joint where the extra room was attached to the main house. The front of the house as well was littered with ants. As I was going around the outside with the Birchmauer backpack, I got to the front walkway off the front porch, which was made of bricks. The front walkway had 2 step downs before reaching the driveway. I was already overheated and frustrated. Trying to keep a smile on my face because this lady was very kind and gracious, I was concentrating on the ant trail that I was treating, not looking where I was going. I was back to the house, shuffling to the right along the walkway, which comes out from the front of the porch and makes a turn towards the driveway. So I wasn't looking where I was going. I was watching the ant trail. My right foot gets to a brick where the step is going down, and the next level of the walkway, and the brick just tilts out from the front under my foot, and I fall, ripping my pants, tearing up my knee and my elbow. I had just refilled my backpack, so it was heavy, and I was crashing down and tore myself up pretty bad. And he included pics, which will be on the YouTube when I'm reading this, so check out those pictures on the YouTube. The pictures may not look like much, but keep in mind that my knees aren't the greatest anyways, after installing carpet for a decade in my younger years. So my big self falling down on my knees like that, the pain was ridiculous. I still have the interior service to do, but there I am sitting on her walkway, bleeding and trying not to curse out loud and offend the customer. If you know me, that's kind of difficult for me to do. That sweet lady came out with a first aid kit and helped me get patched up after I took pictures to send to my boss to let them know what happened on the job. It was just the icing on the cake for an extremely shitty day. Poor Jack. That does sound freaking awful.
Right?
Like
the sweet old lady would have made it so much better, though.
Right?
Exactly. It always does.
Falling to your knees on the concrete is like the worst pain. Even if it doesn't actually cut you, it just hurts so goddamn bad.
Yeah, dude.
And it like
Oh yeah.
stings. And then
It's like a
like you said,
burn.
he's already got bad knees from being a carpet installer. Like I have family members that were carpet installers and stuff. Yeah, they've had horrible knees.
Yeah, that's like my knees sometimes swell just existing. So like that's partially why I've been on a weight loss journey, is just to like be kinder on my joints. So like
Yeah.
falling like that, gross.
Ugh.
So speaking of Jack though, Jack for probably a year now has been preaching to me his self-written 3 rules to a peaceful life. And I thought this was a good thing to bring up for the worst day ever episode, because maybe it'll help us avoid having a worst day ever, because it's rules to live by to have a peaceful life. So Jack's rule number 1: mind your business and do not tolerate people who don't mind theirs. I like that. Number
That's a good
2,
one.
it is. Number 2, give 0 fucks to anyone who doesn't have a positive impact on your life. And 3, don't assume anything. Think before you speak and know what you're talking about. So, and I'll have a picture of those 3 rules on the YouTube video and in the blog with this as well. But I thought that was a good thing to mention to help people from having the worst day ever, because if you don't mind your own business, you might get involved in something that fucks your day all the way up.
Yup.
And then
That literally could have been saved from just
right. And then like me, I have anxiety, so like I overthink fucking everything. So
Me
if I
too.
would just give 0 fucks to any so if we would just give 0 fucks to anybody who doesn't have a positive impact on our lives, easier said than done.
Yes.
Way easier said than done. But and then don't assume anything is a good one too, and to know what you're talking about. So I mean, even in recent times, I've jumped to conclusions on stuff and just trying to have a good heart on it. And even if your heart's in the right place, jumping to conclusions can be bad. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read our anonymous submission. Oh, it starts with it starts with a hard decision to get a divorce. Believe me when I say I tried to work it out. She just didn't want to. I left my soon-to-be ex-wife and her kids. They felt like my kids as well. I loved them so much. I paid for a few months of their rent at their place so the kids would have a place to be. My soon-to-be ex-wife, let's call her Clarissa, never got a job, stopped buying food and necessities for the kids, and just spent whatever money from child support on herself. CPS was called, they did nothing. The oldest kid, who is in college, moved in with me because he was done being mentally and physically abused by Clarissa. Fast forward a few months and the prepaid rent is up and they are getting evicted. I get a message from one of the other kids asking if the 2 older ones and their pets can move in with me. Of course I said yes. It was going to make things tight and cramped, but no way I was letting these kids go again. The youngest went to go live with a different family member. The kids move in and everything seems fine. All the family is keeping in touch. The kids are excelling in school and my heart is full again. That's until the shit rolled downhill. Clarissa went to that other family member's house and aggressively broke in and abused the family member and tried to take the youngest. The cops were called, but they didn't press charges. The next day, the kids were all at school, and Clarissa went to the school of the youngest child and signed him out and took him. None of us have seen him since then. She will not take calls from the biological dad, who has visitation rights. Now we sit in limbo, hoping she will willingly give him back. It has yet to happen.
That is
Damn.
crazy.
Yeah, like, I know this person and been just BSing with him ever since all of this happened. Holy crap, it has been a fucking roller coaster, and I hope that he knows that I love him to death, I tell him all the time, I'm always here. But yeah, it has been fucking insane, the shit that
He
he
can't
has been
like go
going through.
for child kidnapping, or what's it called when
They,
like I think it's called parental kidnapping, like the
it's
biological
something
dad
like
can't
that.
file that.
They're starting that. They just started it like last, or well, yeah, like yesterday, because he's supposed to have visitation and she won't answer her phone, won't answer her text, nothing. So case number has been given, but they have to like build more evidence against it. But they also told the biological dad to not contact her in the process. So I'm going, what the?
What?
It's crazy.
How do you get
I
evidence
don't
then?
know. I don't know. Apparently he has to wait a
That
week.
is
So like
wild.
next weekend he can be like, "Hey, it's my time to visit with my kid. Tell me where to pick him up. I
Oh,
want to
so
see
they
my
only
kid." And
want
when she
him to
doesn't
contact
respond,
during his parenting time is really what it is. Like no
that's
extra
what it
fluff
seems
besides
like.
just trying to do parenting
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So like they have like a whole group chat between like everybody that has the kids and extra family and stuff that's trying to help out. And yeah, they're all just like exacerbated at this whole situation because like she literally broke in and was abusing her own family member to try to get her kid that is completely happy where he is, and the cops are just like, "Oh, it's fine," and I'm like, "What?" Like
No.
we're not getting a breaking and entering, an assault, a battery, nothing, child endangerment because her kid and the other kid were right there. Yeah.
Not cool.
She got up in
Yeah,
prison.
I'm just like, damn. Right? I'm like, damn, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
Might
been
be a good
insane.
place for her though.
Yeah.
I mean
yeah. Yeah. And I hate the CPS system. I feel like it's so broken.
It is. It's broken everywhere. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what state you live in, what, political affiliation the state has. It's broken. It's wretched how broken it is.
Yeah. There's a
family
little
court's
girl
really
that
broken
died.
too.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
a
unfortunately that's where they're going to be going, and yeah, it's just crap.
Just as corrupt.
in between yeah. In between Amber and I, there's a city in between us that a little girl just passed away, and there was like over 2 years worth of CPS complaints filed by the school and
Oh,
everything,
I
and
saw
then
that.
she died. Isn't that awful? It's like my
Yeah.
heart. Anytime I think CPS, I think of that now, and I'm like, I hope everybody got fired.
Yeah, that's what I was telling this guy. I'm like, I hope the son gets brought back before the worst happens, because unfortunately that's when it happens, is when you finally get to see him again, is when you can't see him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I hope, God, it's like the last thing that I want for him, because he has had a hell of a time. And it's
Yeah.
like I said, they're his stepkids, but they're his kids. He loves them to death. Like he has no obligation to care for the other three, but he does because he loves them. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God. Like
The
if
heart.
right? I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Heather Tutton did give us a worst day ever story too.
Yeah.
And I love that she prefaces the first part with, I completely understand if that's a bit more gory than what you want. But,
Yeah.
but that's the thing with Pestrogen, is that we're there's a reason why this podcast is not PG-13, okay? That this is real life, and our whole motto is be you. We want
Yep.
real. So she said, I have an awful story about the worst month ever, if that qualifies. It includes 2 men I love having heart attacks, watching my heart patient son get paddled, shocked 5 times, code, and intubated.
Intubated, yeah.
Um, then she said, I also have a worse day in my prior world, preschool, where I was vomited on twice, One of those, I got vomit in my mouth. Had to stay in vomit clothes till my first clothes was in the washer. Then a bottle of amoxicillin wasn't closed and splashed all over my clothes. Had a parent yell at me for their family issues. And then that whole day started with her car being stolen and her moldy shower ceiling falling on her head. She said, yeah, it was great.
Oh my God. Imagine feeling like someone's just out to get you. That would be it.
That is literally one of those, if it can go wrong, it's gonna go wrong type of days. Holy crap. Not once, but twice.
Don't you dare mutter it can't get worse.
Now, like, us three, we're moms. We've been thrown up on multiple times in a day. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
But,
even pooped on.
Like, when it's not even your own kid, it's like, ugh. Like, I can deal with my own kids, you know, especially as babies. Now, no.
No, not even my own kids puke.
Please don't
it still
puke
makes
on
me sick.
Or like my son just got over being sick, and I was helping my daughter do something, and one of her hard drives went out on her computer, and I just hear dunk 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 dunk, and then bleh, and I'm like, crap. I'm like, damn, just when I thought he was getting better. And then he comes out of the bathroom, he's just white as a ghost. I'm like, go lay down. I'll grab you some tea.
Oh my God.
But he's better now.
My
Thank God.
5-year-old got up. It was 2 days ago. He fell asleep on the couch and he was walking to his room. He puked so much right outside my bedroom door that it was all over the door, all over the doorknobs and like on the wall and everything. And he just like went to bed and ignored it. I don't know. I don't know. And so then he wakes up and he's like, Mom, I need to take a shower. And I'm like, oh, yeah, is it because you puked everywhere? He's like, no, I pooped. I was like, what do you mean you pooped, Marley? He said, I pooped the bed. I went in there and poop all over the bed, all over the mattress. And I was like, oh my God. And I had to go to work still, and I was feeling sick still myself.
That's just horrible.
That is awful. Oh my God.
All right, so that's all that we had for today. Thank you again, Amber, for joining us. It's always a blast to talk to you. And then for everybody else, stay cute, be weird, and always go out there and kick some ass.